Hello everyone. I guess I'm audible. Just give me a thumbs up or a wave if I'm audible. Great, great. We'll be starting the session. बस 5 मिनट में हम start 2 मिनट में start करेंगे. Mehar ma'am is just joining, and yeah, yeah. Just give the thumb. Just write in the chat box maybe. मैं audible हूँ ना? या बस हम start करेंगे 2 मिनट में. Mehar ma'am is joining. Great, great. Hi, 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 Shruti. Hi, Anurag. Hi, Hardeep. Yeah.
So, do you know who is our today's guest? You can write in the chat box. Okay, maybe you can guess who is our. I think you would have seen the story. So, I guess we have Mehar ma'am with us. Yeah, we'll be starting in a minute. We have Mehar ma'am with us.
Hi.
Hello. Hello. Hi, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, great.
Great.
How are you doing?
So, I'm great. How are you,
I'm
ma'am?
all right. Thank you so much.
Great.
Excited for our
So, are we good to go?
Yes, yes. All good.
Great. Okay. So yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for joining. I am Aman Agrawal, a final year student at IIT Kanpur and a community moderator at Financially Aware Bharat. Today we have with us Mrs. Mehar Sindhu Batra, founder and CEO, MSD Vision. Mrs. Sindhu is an entrepreneur living in London, mentoring professionals through workshops, university talks, interviews, and courses on topics such as career strategy, interview CV tips, brand building, and effective communication. She's also a chartered accountant and holds an international MBA degree from Imperial College London. Over the last 3 years, she has built a community of more than 450,000 followers across YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. It is a pleasure to have you
Thank
here,
you
ma'am.
so much, Aman.
So,
So sweet of you. Thank you for the introduction.
great. So, ma'am, as today's topic, so we'll be discussing about multiple questions that we received from our
Yes.
followers, and we sort of launched a poll and just to get the vibe, what are the topics they want to discuss upon. So we have a few questions to ask you from and discuss you from.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe how about let's start with knowing about your journey, how you became a career coach, and even doing after CA and MBA. So how this happened.
Yeah, sure, sure. I think you summarized it really well. The only thing was that I was going down the traditional career path, like, how my parents guided me, how my friends were going down these career paths. And I moved countries in between to do my MBA, and then I got a job. I was doing well. I had a great job. I really loved. And then, Aman, this just started as a side hustle. It was just to help young professionals because when I was starting my career, I always wished that I had like an elder brother or an elder sister who was just 5, 6 years ahead of me, who could, guide me a little
Hmm.
bit more as to what decisions to take. So it just started with one YouTube video, and the kind of love and feedback that I got, it just kept me going. So I ran it as a side hustle for more than 2 years, and then I quit my job to do this full time. So that's my journey of starting MSB Vision.
Okay. I was actually scrolling your LinkedIn and got to know that as you mentioned that just like the 90s kid, you landed up doing CA and MBA. So how difficult was it to basically convince your parents on that note ki I have to do something unorthodox and I want to make a career out of it. So how was your
Yeah,
experience at that time?
I actually, it wasn't like an overnight thing. No, Aman, I was running it as a side hustle. So 9 to 5, I would do my full time job, and then raat ko 5 to 9 p.m. I would work on my side hustle, or weekends I would
Okay.
work on my side hustle, which was to help students. So I did a lot of workshops, Instagram lives like this one. I did stuff on the weekend whenever I had time off. So it was not like कि अचानक से I said कि I'm gonna do my own thing. It's that they saw me
Got
doing
it.
it and they saw me build something, and something that I was so passionate about that nobody in my family ever questioned the decision, because it was coming from a place of trying something and seeing that it could work out.
Great, great. Yeah, that's good to know. That's
Yeah.
actually something our audience would love to know about it. So let's come to the next question. So let's talk something about Indian education system and how it reflects with the careers and the things that we want to pursue in our future. So, what's your opinion on Indian education system and its impact on financial well-being of an individual?
Wow, that's deep. I think things have been changing, and things are changing for the better, because I see a lot of changes happening that I read about, which is good, because I think growing up, one of the things that I struggled with, and maybe you also did since you're in such a competitive university, is that the spirit of competitiveness is something that we teach, we learn, we get taught in school, right?
Hmm.
Like I was in DPS RK Puram, so I had Monday tests every Monday. So I was studying every Sunday night, right? So it was just very competitive. And I think more than like the financial part, like mentally, it puts a lot of pressure on you. So you want to always try to do better than yourself in your previous semester, or better than your other friends and classmates, etc. And I think at that time, when I look back now, man, like I wish there were some things that I learned in school, especially like how to do taxes, what are taxes, how do you plan for your future, how do you get an education loan, and how do you just be more financially aware. So I feel like that was a big gap that was missing, and I had to teach myself uh, on my own,
Hmm.
right? Nobody taught me those things as such. So I feel like the education system is great. It still needs a lot of changes and refinements. It has to become a little
Hmm.
bit more practical, and more like day-to-day elements of how we conduct life. How do we buy a house? Should we buy a house? Should we rent a house? These kind of things is what they should teach us now, especially with the world changing so quickly, right?
Right, right. Yeah, also, as you mentioned correctly, that they should teach some small aspects of finance and what are the things that we need to focus on a day-to-day life, considering financial aspects. So even in college and even in my college, I've noticed this. Key people are not so aware about how they should invest. They are like, if they get a stipend, say for example, from an internship, they'll invest it anywhere, right, without seeing any pros and cons on that. And it's just like they know they are half aware about the things, but not fully aware. So yeah, this is a very important thing to note
Exactly.
about. Great.
Luckily, now there are a lot of courses and stuff that's come online that you can do on your own. But you have to take that whole initiative yourself. कि हाँ मेरे को जाके सीखना ही है. That has to come from
Correct.
within. Like school, if what you don't learn in school, you should go and try and learn yourself as much as you can. But now there's so
Exactly.
many options, so many great coaches and leaders who are teaching these things, that you should definitely dive into and learn more if you're interested in learning more.
Right. Right. Ma'am, as you mentioned that you have been to multiple countries and you have sort of an experience with them. So the next question is on that. So globally, which education system gives priority to enhance human well-being? right? So something before we were discussing about financial aspects. So let's our audience would love to know about which education system impacts human well-being on a whole. So what's your opinion on that?
I haven't personally studied there or been there myself, but I have read a lot about the education system in Finland. So like the Finnish education
Okay.
system, which has like
Hmm.
smaller classes. It has a very like a teacher to student ratio is very less, so there's a lot of focus. Like in growing up in India, in Delhi, I had there were 55 people and kids in my class for one teacher to teach, right? Finland it's a little bit smaller classes, so there's a lot of personalized attention. I think they've started using technology also a lot,
Hmm.
in terms of teaching basic concepts. And like their homework and how they teach is very much practical. They want their kids to have
Correct.
opinions about things, right? And there's no sort of right or wrong in that case. Like everybody's opinion is appreciated, so it's more collaborative, it's more participative, it's more like experiential and practical learning compared to ratta maar ke padna, which is what
Got it.
it affects your mental well-being, and also it like gives you a practical aspect to think about solutions to a problem. That is mostly how things are done in many countries in the West, but I think Finland does it the best as far as
Right.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think there are few startups in India these days who are focusing on STEM, right? So basic focusing on science, technology, engineering, mathematics,
Yeah.
and they want that practical aspect to be involved in their
Mm.
curriculum. So yeah, that's actually well said. So I think we are striving towards that, and hopefully we'll achieve that thing. Right? Yeah, fingers
Yes.
crossed. So yeah, let's come to the next question now. So it's since you did an MBA and today is like we all know about chat GPT and this advent of AI these days. So do MBA has any relevance in this age of AI?
I think any degree will now need to adapt a little bit and add some kind of tech courses within them. So I think now there are MBA in AI as well, which I don't think anybody should sign up for right now, because wait for the course and syllabus to get a little bit more
Correct.
curated and finalized. I feel that I think every degree is relevant, Aman. Like it's what you make the most out of that degree. Like MBA teaches you the different aspects of management, right? But you will need to learn about tech and AI as well, because if you don't use these tools, you won't know how to manage a team, you won't know how an organization works together, especially in this fast changing tech world.
Hmm.
So I've read this somewhere, and I would like to requote it, is that AI is not going to replace jobs. Like we're not going to lose our jobs. AI is going to replace your job with someone who knows how to use AI, right? So that's something that you need to remember, that your job is not going to be taken by a machine, but it will be taken by someone who knows how to use that machine. So always remember that any degree that you're doing have
Right.
some kind of digital knowledge attached to it. If it's not coming from the university, you need to go ahead and do it yourself. So for example, you're in a finance course, go and
Hmm.
see what are the top tools in finance that are being used, and maybe you can do like a course part-time, right? So I don't think MBA is going to be irrelevant right now, because everybody is dying to do an MBA still, and the business schools will go out of business. But yeah, I think in the future they will have to like add
Hmm.
some kind of tech elements, which I think they're already doing. Like all the top universities are anyway incorporating all that in their curriculum.
Right. Right. Yeah. So what were your experiences when you were doing MBA? Like anything that you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah. So I came here to study in London, and it was very different from my experience at Delhi University, because
Hmm.
again it was in Delhi University there was a lot of pressure on theoretical knowledge and tests and exams and all of that. But here it was more like, okay, case study based, project based. You're working with your cohort, your classmates, and coming up with solutions to problems. You're studying directly with entrepreneurs, came to give talks. And yeah, they also use some tools like tech tools that were
Hmm.
upcoming in that time, and now there are so many more that one has to learn. So yeah, it was very like it was a 180-degree shift from what I had studied in my bachelor's and in CA versus when I was doing an MBA, because just the way they teach it was very different. I'm not sure how your experience has been at IIT. I hope it's practical and theory both.
Right. Right. I think it's quite different when you just go out of the school and then you explore the curriculum that is quite different, and
Yeah.
specifically the people who come from different regions, right? So you have to study with them. In
Mm,
school, it's like all your friends and all the batchmates are from nearby
mm.
region, neighbors say. So right. So but over here, it's the diversity that actually creates the difference.
Agreed.
So
Agreed. And similarly, like for a global degree, like when you go outside to study, I had people from, I think it was almost like 35, 40 countries from around the world, right? So
hmm.
that's the kind of diversity that you're dealing with on an international level, which is great. I'm glad that you're working with people from all over the country and pushing yourself outside your comfort zone.
Right. Thank you so much. So, and my next question is, as you talk about interview skills and CV
Yeah.
preparation and the aspects related to the professional career, so how important is communication skills in that aspect? Because I have
Hmm.
seen many of my friends who have cleared multiple rounds
Yeah.
and clearing the tech rounds, clearing multiple rounds, but they sort of lack in those HR questions and
Hmm.
explaining exploration of those aspects. So, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, yeah. I always say this, Aman, is that you may be the smartest person in the room, but if you don't know how to communicate your story, nobody's going to hire you, right? Nobody
Hmm.
knows all the things you've done. You may have 5 degrees, but bolna nahi aata, or communicate karna nahi aata, yeah, you're not being confident. You know, people are not going to rely on you. How do we build trust? Like you and I are communicating right now, right? If I was looking here or I was being shy, you wouldn't probably connect with me as much as you are right now. So similarly, an interviewer is going to judge you on the basis of how you carry yourself,
Hmm.
how you conduct yourself, what's your body language like. Those are the things that unfortunately we don't really learn in school. It comes with practice. And I will say that I was not a good communicator. You know, the first Instagram live I did, if you can go watch that video, I was pretty pretty crappy, but through practice I've become better, right? So that's what you have to think, that
Right.
okay, my first interview didn't go well, it's okay, what did I learn from it? And I always say that before every interview you should practice as much as you can, rehearse, give answers to your friends, do mock interviews, practice in front of a mirror, maybe record yourself and see what are the things that I need to change. And also, like, people around you, who do you feel inspired by, who do you look up to and say, oh my god, this person is so confident, I want to be like them. Now, that could be someone online, it could be somebody offline. If it's somebody online, look at more of their videos and see, okay, how can I be more
Hmm.
like them, carry myself more like them. And dhire dhire you will develop your own style. But in the beginning, if you look up to somebody like a mentor, it just makes the whole communication easy. But please remember that we communicate even without saying anything, right? Yes,
Saying in.
without
Hmm.
saying anything, someone is judging us, and we also do that. That's human nature, right? We judge people before they speak, right, when we see them. So think of that, like, what is the interviewer thinking of you is very important. And then they are called you for an interview, that means they like your skills, they like your CV. But now they're going to test whether your communication skills are strong, whether you have confidence, whether you know what the company is about, and whether you're a cultural fit, right? So all of that you'll have to prove at the interview in that half an hour, 45 minutes.
Right. Right. So this would actually help many of the followers right now.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's actually something very useful. And we also here at in our college, so we sort of try to give mock interviews, and I think
Very good.
these things are now the institute focus upon. And I don't think it's just IIT Kanpur. It's most of the educational institutes in India right now. They are focusing on these group discussions and these kind of topics should be more people should more think about
Yeah.
these things, right? Initially I think it was less, but nowadays people have started realizing the
Yeah,
importance of these
i'm
aspects
so
of
glad
the career.
i'm so glad that change is coming.
Great. Yeah. So my next question is, how should an average Indian student prepare against AI? Like we discussed MBA's relevance and other degrees relevance in this age of AI, so how one should prepare ourselves so against this upcoming year.
Yeah, sure. Actually, I was talking to one of my friends who is working for a very big tech company in the AI arm. And she said at the beginning of every year, she makes like a calendar for the year, right? Like you make a calendar for traveling and events that are happening in the year. She makes a calendar for all the courses that she's going to do in that year, right? So now that
Hmm.
could be on Udemy, that could be on Coursera, and she's in the tech sector. All of us, no matter what sector we are in, we are going to be influenced and our careers are going to change because of these tools that are coming in, right? So we have to become better at using them. So I would say be very planned in your approach. Okay, this is what is coming, this is what people are talking about, and maybe I need to learn this now before it's too late. One of my friends actually ended up getting a job in London sitting in Delhi because he knew one tool that not many people in London know how to use, and he actually got recruited just for that one tool, right? So you have to figure out in your industry, what are the skills that I need, what are the tools that I need to finesse and learn more about, and that will make you stand out, and that will make you do your job even more easily, right? So that's how you don't have to compete with AI, you have to adapt it, stop getting scared from it. So just go with the flow, learn as much as you can, be aware what's going on in your industry, talk to your mentors, talk to your friends, and please like stay ahead of the curve. Don't wait till the last minute. Ha, jab boss bolega tab I'll learn this tool, you know. You can take the initiative
Right.
to do it yourself, because you add it on your CV, you add it as a certificate, it will make your CV, your application, your brand stronger.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. And I guess let's discuss something on the creators economy side, because I guess this is a field that is booming these days. I can see many of my friends involving or trying to make a career out of it, right? So, what's your opinion on this upcoming booming creators economy? So,
I think every industry goes through like highs and lows. So right now it's probably like a boom that we're facing, that everybody wants to be a creator. I will say that it's not easy becoming a creator. It looks very fancy and it looks really fun, but there's a lot of like business side of things that people don't really see. So that could be running a team, that could be working with brands that don't pay you enough, or maybe, you know, they back out at the last minute, or you just don't know how to shoot, you're a little scared, you're underconfident, all of that. um, Another thing is that I feel that it's always good to have a backup degree or some kind of skill that you can rely back on in case it doesn't work. So I would say that if you're trying to be a creator, see if you can do it part-time for a bit, because there's so much of hustling that's needed. It's a full-on full-time job. It's not like, you know, okay, I can switch off on weekends. Aisa nahi hai, like in a 9 to 5 you can do that. So you have to constantly be like aware what's going on, and also put yourself out there. It's not easy to put yourself out there and have people judge you at the end of the day. So it's got its pros and cons. I will say please like have a backup degree, a backup something that if it doesn't work out, that you can go back to just in case. And also like start it as a side hustle, maybe try it, test it. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, because there are so many creators that start and then they, you know, lose interest, lose the consistency, the discipline, and then it just becomes a hobby or something they used to do before.
so as you mentioned that we should have something in the backup. I've seen few. We have actually launched a poll, and we got to know about that. Specifically when students are doing their bachelors, their undergrads, so then they have startup ideas. They want to explore new things apart from what they want to do in their ongoing careers. So as you mentioned about backups, so and there are people who are sort of underconfidence. If I'll do that, if I'll fail, so then what would my family think and my friends? So what's your opinion on that? What's your advice to those people?
Who have startup ideas and don't do anything about it?
Yeah, right.
I'm in that category. I had so many ideas in my like late teens, early 20s, when I wanted to have so many businesses, and I didn't do anything. I was scared. I think I wish I had the guts to do at least something in that direction. So I would say that long term, think of what you're getting out of it. Log kya kahenge doesn't really matter in the long run. Test something. This is your age to take risks and explore different fields, different kind of opportunities, and really learn as well. I feel I'm in the early years of your career, I should be your learner mode, right? When you're learning as much as you can from seniors around you and then implementing that. I think there's no right or wrong there. You should try if you can, if you don't have any financial responsibilities, etc., because it's different for different people. But yeah, there will be probably the least amount of responsibilities for you at this age, because maybe later in life it can become a little bit more challenging. But look at Falguni, Miss Falguni Nair, right? She started her startup at the age of 50, and now look where it's taken it. So it's never too late to start whatever you want to do, but why not start early if you want to really test something, really try something.
Right. So yeah, it's never too late actually.
Hmm.
So now I have this question. I think this is from my friends who are engineering colleges. So there is this tendency of doing engineering and going to MBA, right? So doing MBA after engineering.
Yeah,
So what's your take on that? What's your opinion and advice on that?
I think
There are people
very
who are confused on those things. Yeah.
I think
Please.
that's a very traditional route. My husband is also engineer MBA, so a lot of Indians do go in for that route. I will say, like before your MBA, please get some work experience because an MBA is a very practical, holistic degree, and if you don't have
Hmm.
work experience, it will just become a little bit challenging for you to understand those core concepts of management. So my recommendation to anybody going in for any type of masters is please get at least 1 to 2 years of work experience before you jump into a masters. Also because when you finish your bachelor's, you don't know what you want to do a master's in. And sometimes we just
Hmm.
rush into doing a master's because हाँ friends कह रहे हैं कर रहे
Hmm.
हैं and family saying कि खत्म करो पढ़ाई and all that. But unless and until we don't know what we want to specialize in, because a master's is like a specialization. So until and unless we don't know that, we can't make a decision at the early years of 21, 22. I think the right time to go for a master's could be like 24, 25, or maybe even later, because then by then you have some experience, you have some exposure, and you can use that when you're going in to study for your master's, MBA, or anything else.
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am. And as you're an entrepreneur yourself, so I would love to know about three aspects that you think are which were the most important thing while you were starting MSB Vision and your other ideas, right? So the three things that you learned from that, I think the first three things.
Oh, wow. I think the first thing I learned was that you just have to be comfortable being who you are. I
Hmm.
think when I was growing up, I was just very underconfident. I was very shy. I had a lot of self doubt, and I never spoke up in class. I never like participated in too many things going on in school. I was a good student, but I just didn't, I wasn't very vocal about it. So I think the whole journey as a creator has also taught me to talk about myself with confidence, and it's really put myself out there and be vulnerable in front of so many people. And if you do share your story, people really connect with it. So don't be shy to share your story. That's probably the first thing that I learned. The second thing is
Right.
that in the beginning of any like idea, you'll have to do everything yourself. You won't have a team to support you. So when we're in a corporate job, we have a fixed role, but when we are doing something for
Hmm.
ourselves, you're doing everything from accounting, from marketing to HR to everything you're doing yourself. And that also taught me a lot of skills of and made me understand like what am I good at and what am I not good at. How can I find somebody else to do this better than me and delegate that bit of work to somebody else. Yeah, that's the second thing. And third thing is that I think whatever you start, you have to be really, like people say this a lot, but you have to be really passionate about it, because if you are not passionate about your idea, after a bit it'll just feel like a job, and you don't want your entrepreneurial venture to feel like a job. You want it to be like your baby, you want it to be something you feel happy doing, like it should bring joy out for you. So think of it something that whatever may be the idea, whatever industry, whatever it may be the idea, it has to be something that's close to your heart and it's close to your bigger purpose or what you want to do in life.
Right. So yeah, I think there would be multiple more things to discuss upon the things that you learned while starting up, because I have also been into this startup group, entrepreneurship group in my college, right? So I've interacted with multiple entrepreneurs, and then I felt ki, there are things that you can get out of these entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
and we can talk throughout the day, throughout night about their experiences, and yeah. So
Yeah.
that's why I mentioned ki, so anything which you feel specifically for the engineers, right? Ki, this is something that can be something that is different from the normal from other students in India. So on the engineering aspects, considering
Yeah.
Indian engineers,
Yeah. I think, Aman, actually, India produces as an output the maximum number of engineers probably in the world, right? Like one of the highest number of
right?
engineers. So you have to think is okay, I don't want to be just a face in the crowd. I don't want to just be another Indian engineer. You think of something that could be your story. Like find out one or
Hmm.
two things that are unique to you. Like Aman is one in a million, right? Like he has to think, okay, yeah, fine, I've done electrical engineering, but I can probably learn this one tool, or maybe I can get this one experience, and that makes me Aman the brand who knows just these two, three things. So I think how engineers can differentiate themselves from others is really, really honing down and specializing in one or two things that they want to be known for, and then being visible about it again and again. So whether that's speaking up in class, whether that's doing additional projects, whether that's speaking up on LinkedIn, whether that's starting a side hustle, doing some freelancing projects, whatever it may be, just making sure that, okay, I'm coming across as somebody who's not just an engineer. I'm somebody who has a strong portfolio, a strong story behind what I'm like backing me up. So because later in life, when you're competing with somebody who has the same degree as you stand out. So I think that's the advice I would give to engineers. And I would also say, like, if you've been forced into this degree because of whatever pressure, it's never too late to pivot. It's never too late, because I do a lot of sessions with engineering students who want to switch their careers, want to pivot their careers. Please remember, it's never too late to do anything that you want, but yeah, explore and take a little bit of risk and build your brand early, so that you know what is it that you want to get into maybe in your 30s. By the time you're in your 30s, you should know exactly, this is my uniqueness and this is my specialization. I hope that
Right.
I have rambled on.
Yeah. No. Actually, this actually helps. As you mentioned about building a brand and having that USP in you,
Exactly.
right? So your career
Yes.
USP, right? So this would help all the engineers in the call, right? I am definitely sure that there would be some engineers apart from me in the call, in the live,
I'm sure.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So I think we have a question in the chat. The question is, what was your first investment? Like,
Investment in like what? As in
I guess
the business?
it's not specified. Maybe business. Yeah, it's not specified.
I think my first investment in the business, I didn't make any investment in the business. I started like with this iPhone 7 on a bookshelf that used to record on. I think probably the first investment, like first big investment I made, was when I bought like a Canon camera for my YouTube channel.
Camera.
And that was after like 1.5 years of shooting videos on my phone. So I bought a Canon camera as an investment. That was my first investment, I guess, for the business. Yeah.
Right. And as you mentioned that you bought that Canon camera after 1.5 year after shooting from your iPhone.
Yeah.
So I think this is itself something which shows ki it's not the resources that you are lack of, it's just the dedication, right? Because there are people who are like, I don't have a good camera, I don't have a proper setup, so I can't start filming myself. So what's your advice on that?
I think those are excuses that we all make if we want it to be
Right.
perfect. No matter what equipment you have, Aman, you'll go back to those videos 2-3 years from now and be like, shit, that video was so bad, right? So it's okay. Like, start with the basics, figure out these things when you don't have too much to spend. Like, don't like do minimal investment and figure it out. Like, figure out editing, figure out lighting, figure out sound, all of that, and then you will be able to understand, okay, my sound doesn't sound too good, so maybe I should invest in a mic, which is like 2,000 rupees only, right? Versus a camera, which is 1.5 lakhs. So those are the baby steps that you'll be able to take once you start testing. And I would say that's anything in life. Like, you don't have to launch a $1 million startup from day one. You can take baby steps and figure out what you really need to spend money on, or maybe get funded on.
Right. So I think let's get to the second question. So the question is, what should I do after BSc?
The world is your oyster. You can do anything and everything. Depends which BSc, what are your skills, what are your specializations, what are your interests. That's a little too broad to answer. You can do anything.
It's quite open when after BSc you have, I think it's common bachelor's, and I think specifically for science students they are like they either go to give JEE and then do BSc, right?
Yeah.
So there is options.
So many options after BSc. You can do a master's, you can get some work experience.
Yeah. And now next question is from Nishita. Ma'am, can you recommend me a tech tool that students can learn in finance field?
Oh, there are so many. I'll have to send a list. There are so many. And also, like, which domain of finance, right? The finance is huge. So yeah, lots. Like, you can just Google what's going on in your industry in particular and do the top 5 tools, learn the top 2-3 tools at least.
Right. So my question is, next question is, what should we ask if the panel says any question for us, like college
Oh,
interviews?
okay. So that's during interviews. You must always ask questions to the interviewer, right? They are testing if you have done research about the company, if you know, if you're interested in working with them. So always ask them a little bit about when they joined, how's their experience working at this company, what's the company culture like, how do they see you fit into the role,
Hmm.
anything that they expect from you in the first 3 months. So all of that you can ask during your interview. So always be inquisitive during that time. Like show that you're
Yeah,
very
this actually happened with me in one of my interviews.
okay. I hope you
So
ask
we
questions.
were having our right, yeah. So they were basically just wanted to know related to the current affairs of that particular company, how was their
Very good.
investment, and so it was a banking firm. So yeah, this actually helped.
Very good. Very good. Great. Great.
Mm. So next question is, what should be reason to do MBA?
Oh,
It's quite basic. I think why should we do an MBA?
I think you should do an MBA. Not everyone should do an MBA. Firstly, I think we run into that rat race ki haan sab kar rahe hain, so let me also do it. But one should do an MBA only if they are genuinely interested in any in like management, in leadership, in running an organization, in being a part of a large organization, in honing their own communication and leadership skills. So please remember, it's a business degree at the end of it. If you have no interest in a business, for example, you're a creative person, you're a
Mm.
very tech heavy person, you're not interested in how a business operates, then it's not for you. Like it's not for everybody. Please, you have to have an inclination for business entrepreneurship or like some stream of management for sure.
I hope this would help.
Great.
And let's see.
Shall we
So
end?
the question is,
Oh,
yeah,
more questions?
will be ending. Just last question.
Okay.
So the question is, data analytics transition for a nutrition master's personnel. Can you tell how would that be? Data
Data.
analytics transition analytics for a nutrition master's personnel.
I think that's very specific, Aman. I'll have to understand
Yeah.
more about the person's background and interest. But I will say if you want to pivot into any career, talk to people within that industry. If you're making a switch, if you're making a pivot, please remember it takes time to build your brand and to build your experience and expertise in that sector. So data analytics ke liye, do all the courses, talk to people who are 5 years ahead of you, ask them how did they make a pivot, and see maybe you, as a nutritionist, you could probably use analytics in your day-to-day as well, and you can combine those two skills and that could be your USP as well.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much, ma'am. Any last piece of advice for the audience that I overheard?
No, I
Any
would
last
just
piece?
say that we talked about so many things, but the thing that I want to talk about is that it's okay to be like feel low and deal with failure. Like all of us deal with some kind of failure every now and then. So please don't be harsh on yourself and don't feel like other people are ahead of you, because that will always be the case. You'll always feel like there's somebody ahead of you. Focus on your own journey. Don't compare yourself with other people, and just figure out what have you learned from a failure if you've actually failed, and do better next time.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think the audience would have loved the session today, and I would also like to thank everyone who joined for the session. And yeah, so we'll meet next time. Thank you
Thank you,
so much
Aman.
again, ma'am.
Thank you for
It was
having me.
great to have you
Take
here.
care. Thanks
Thank you so
everyone for
much. Yeah,
joining. Bye.
thank you so much.